An author of a financial self-help book, a journal, a financial journal, 100 Days to Financial Freedom, and another book here, the Principles of Wealth Creation. And this one, I think, is a few days out, and he's joining us today to talk about debt management. And thank you very much for joining us today. Okay, introduce at Ignytwealth. What are you primarily based on doing?
Yes, thank you so much for hosting us. Thank you, so Ignytwealth, we do financial management training, consulting, but our area really is on teaching people on best ways of how to use money. Ditsela tsa go dira khumo kana ke ra re berekela go build something for the future. So that's really what Ignytwealth does. So we do training, we do investment advisory services, and then we do counseling service through our contact center.
100%. And today we're talking about debt management, and I think it's a very necessary topic, especially at this time of the year. With all of this debt that I have, all of these dreams that I have that I want to build, but I don't have access to that much of capital. But debt can be an instrument. What are the ways that I can be able to use debt in order to make sure that this sort of things get to happen the way they're supposed to? No me re simolela ka gore ngwawale moalo wa gore ha re bua ka debt management tota re tebagantse leng mme tata re bua ha mara gore re bua le ba ile gore ba santse ba bata dikgakololo tsa gore yana ba ka dira eng ka dikoloto tse ba nang natso.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I think maybe just to clarify skoloto kana gantsi o thela re se lebella o ka re ke so se leng gore ga sa nna sente. But initially when it was done ko re neta be le Khutsafalo yana a be reka gongwe in a farm. Asa bolo go rutwa tiro ana le 20 years a bereka mo farmong eo, but le ena le tshimong wa go gae, but ga khone go develop because ena ga na ditamelo. But yana na le resourced as far as kitso is concerned. So after some years Khutsafalo taba feel gore million na kana nka go thabolla go gae, I already know how this thing operates. But problem with taba le gore yana, where do you get the capital? Because go reka tractor, go reka mogoma, to build your silos, go reka le koloi le gore ya transport, it might be a lot of money. I long gore how ka lo go save go go tsana go etelle thata gore wa save. So ke gona ha ile gore yanong debt ne ya introduce wa to try to bridge the gap between batho ba ile gore ba saletse go morago thata le batho ba ile gore ba go pele thata ka khumo. So initially when it was done, ne ile khanya gore keng batho ba khona gore ba tse madi for productive means gore ba toka tse matshelo a bona ba go roge go gongwe. It's only in today's world where people use debt to feed their own luxury needs, not necessarily for productive means. And ke gona ha ile gore nna kongwe go tabo go lebello sekoloto go te a me go mo ile gore wa go duela mo, is it necessary? If you are earning a lot of money, it's fine. You can get the luxury that you need because you are selling a service to get the money, so you deserve all of those things. But for a lot of people, you find do tse gore ba di dira di hela di ba tsenga mathateng. So the only time e ile gore ka ikutwa ile gore sekoloto ka re sa go imela sa go gatella a bo itse gore go bo dirule ke gore gora gore madi a teng ga wa dirisa for productive means.
100%. Yeah, no, a re bue ka wena because I think it boils down to lack of knowledge. Ka gore motho hangwe ha o tsena mo tirong o ithela le gore qualify a certain loan o presiwa ke di tsa botshelo, but you really don't know how all of these instruments work. O ithela le gore o tsere gongwe sekoloto se nka benne ha no na le kitso nka bo no se structure le ka tselangwe in terms of payment plans, premiums per month, you know, how long are you gonna pay. Because from what you are saying, debt is going to the future to borrow money from your future, borrow money and use it today.
Yes.
Hoping that when the future wants the money back at that time, you will have it and with interest.
Yeah.
But now, what are some of the things still we were trying to do good by getting debt to do things. Right now we have even much more problems than the ones we had before we even got into that.
Yes, ke rata ka ha we banka teng because bontsi ja Batswana ha re dira ditshekatsheko re lemoga gore ga ba tsene mo sekolotong because they are just pure reckless. Ba tsena mo sekolotong because they thought they were doing something that is productive. mme go se productive. For instance mo Botswana wa itse hela gore ha o simolla o re wa bereka o bua go gae o to age o tshwantse o re nne le go ga gago
o tshwantse go bona le gore monno o bone tiro
ka
foundation nya
so go tabo go lebelelwa tsone dio tsa gore tshwantse o re age ene more especially go gae. But kana remember gore sekoloto mongwe le mongwe leng gore o go adima madi, they are trying to make money, so lwena you need to make sure that you make something from the money that you get, right? So that the flow continues. Seller from Bank of Botswana, it lends to banks at an interest. Banks will lend to the different departments at an interest, and then to you the consumer at an interest. Lwena o tshwantse go dira sengwe se leng gore se to go tsenyetsa sengwe, but we itelele gore re taba ra ga go gae ke tsone dikgang tse e leng gore ra di bona tse dintsi. And remember kana ntwe e leng gore o yaga gongwe ke topisi ke se gore ke tsa topisi ka tsela epe, but it's an area e leng gore there's not a lot of economic activity. So I le gore wa agile teng ntwe e leng gore go costile 1 million, the value immediately after building that house e ka nna ya nna bo 600,000 bo 500,000, more than in essence you've lost 500,000 in value
before you even use it.
So even if you try to rent it out, the money will be way less than what you are paying the bank. So ko gae gone everyone is celebrating gore you've done good, you've shown some responsibility wa agile ko gae. But now you are starting to struggle because that house will never benefit you financially, at least in the long term, unless something comes up, and then the demand goes up, benefit. And then do tse dingwe gape tse e leng gore re bona di tsenya batho mathateng ke tsone dikgang tsa dikoloi. We buy cars, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying a car. But kana you need to have lebaka le lunugileng la ora bora ka koloi. It needs to feed to your do tse leng gore re ka di bitsa re di productive. Ile gore gongwe be re ka kgakala o feel gore koloi ka go thusa gore ga go tirong ka bona go gore nne productive, you can get your promotions and go go di magere. That's fine, get the car, but nako ngwe nna khanya gore o reka koloi yentseng jang, right? Because certain cars we don't really need. Again, more so that bontsi ja rona re thola re phakile ka tsa ga dithara maitse ba ha o chaise ke gone o dirisang koloi. So you can always find a way to get that car to good use during the day. Ha wena o theogetse go direla madi, ha o chaisa ke koloi ya gago gape o tsamaya ka yona ka weekend koloi ya go tsamaya ka yona, but yone e ituela. So dio tse ke dio tse leng gore we try by all means go di ruta Batswana to say, look, how I adimile madi ko bankeng, the first thing that you need to be looking for ke gore go mo go dirang a gone ka bogone go ka duela banka wena o sa ntshe madi mo pateng ya gago, because remember gore ditiro tsa rona they are not guaranteed. So ha ile gore o hilwe tiro kana ba bo sentse o ya adimilwe a ke gore na ma o tshwere ho e o kgone go itirela sengwanyana a ke re the income should help you to get debt that you can leverage, so that le ka mosola ha o se o mo tirong a o itse gore nyao ka go gae wa go ipakanya mme dikoloto tsa go tsone di a ituela. Again, the car is paying for itself, the house is paying for itself, right? Those are the best ways of using debt, really.
Yeah, 100%. So here's some of the other things that I'm thinking, and I love the way ka hawa lang khanya teng ka teng gore motho gono ke dimela bangwe santse re itsa stock gore nya me ke jela phoso hale me nka ipakanya jana. So I think going back to the time motho ha applyela, you know, so this debt instruments gona le some of the things they don't get the requirements either le collateral is another thing that is really key for me. That I've been learning ever since, and I'll ask you about this. It's called personal surety, where you get a loan, maybe banking and similar business, whatever you're doing, and you are signing that loan on personal surety. Tsaya nna le se le batang ka sona, but I don't want to go etela pele gore ke batla gore we ya le batho ba tlhaloganya thata, because I've seen people go into jail, I've seen people ba tsena mathateng a le gore there was another option that they would have chosen, but because ne ba ganeletse moganya gore nya a ke tlhokanele go attach sa me kana ntu ya me because alone I can do it without this, but they went into it running away from attaching and property, but they didn't know where they were running to, which is personal surety, and which one is more weightier. How's the consequence did?
Yes. I like that you touched on that one, because gantsi batho bana le gore ba ba doja gore ba ka gapelwa by hiding every other thing, saying it could be an asset, but they sign a personal surety. And how lebella most of those personal sureties, they're unlimited. It's an unlimited personal surety, right? No rang gore ha ile gore yanong how khona go duela. The lender will come for you and everything that you have. So the fact that we are willing to gaspiri go thokonyana go, as long as that house is registered in your name, or that house can be put in the personal surety. And you know, kana when a lender is trying to recover, this house it's 1 million. Let's sell it for 1 million, right? They are trying to recover. So they can recover 500,000 from a house at 1 million. Now you are going to lose your property at a lower value. So personal surety is actually security, and it's a real security. So no, we are not taking any security on this particular loan, but you need to be very careful, because once you sign that document, everything that you own, it's basically attached, right? It's basically attached informally. Because now we are recovering. Now, what do you own? You have a couch, you have a chair, you have TV, you have a plot somewhere, you have a house somewhere. All of those things will be attached. So that is what people need to understand. Personal surety.
Now, with these books that you are writing, was it 3 books so far? In fact, 2 books with the journal. Because reckless, like you were saying.
Yes.
It's always because that person didn't know. I think there's a scripture I like in the Bible. I think it's Hosea 4:6 about my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Yeah. So this is the greatest enemy is people do not understand. But you and your company, your books, what are the things that people may maybe learn and benefit from as they're interacting with you and some of the resources that you have?
Yes, no, absolutely. So initially we wrote a book, it was basically my life story. Ke bua hela gore nna ke godile yang ke rutwa yang ka madi phoso tse ke di dirileng, because ke tsa gore ba tsona ba le bantsi they go through that, right? And then we've recently just wrote a book called Principles of Wealth Creation. So mo yone we just wrote 6 key principles gore batho tshwanetse gore ba di itse, because bontsi ja batho ba hela mo principle e nyanta, which is the principle of any money. And then from there, you never build wealth, because you don't understand what there are 5 more principles that you need to go through to say, I think I'm doing really well, right? So we share that information le batswana gore ba khona gore ba bale, because like o bua kitso ke yone re bolayang, ditshwetso tse re di tsayang ke tsone tse eleng gore di dirwa ke gone gore ga re ise re rutwe go contain, right? It could be in business. Batho ba tsena mo di businesseng ha ba chaisa ba re ba simola di business, o bona motho a ga filling station somewhere mo sekgwemole a re o tsa advantage ya gore o kgakala le batho ke go thoka kitso ha no na le kitso no to go itse gore no filling station is a volumes business. You need volumes to be coming in, and kwa ha gona di volume, but we see people doing that. Lao travel a lot wa Mahalape wa Francistown wa go bona batho ba bile di business o a butse shopo mo sekgwemole a re o ta attract batho ba heta mo tseleng, but ne te gore keng go tswa mo ga borone go go Mahalape it's a short trip, it's just 2 hours, so
heta mo gona tsamaya ka 120
wa go heta mo gona tsamaya ka 120 so se batang ke go gore ga go Mahalape, but these things di dirwa ke gone gore people don't know. So re leka go ruta batho ka dibuka tsone tse leng gore ra di kwala, our podcasts le gone go nna re ntse re ta mo di radioeng yaka le re biditse yana gore re to go nna ntse re amogana le go kola thuto le batswana
100%. And go lokola go la bo hello before that wa mantha tse dingwe. I don't know if Sean you have any other questions that you may chip into it. Ne go ta go botsa ka yone ya gore gona le batho ba ile gore ya ka re bua jana ha ba itse gore le ta ba phirimella ba bone tharabollo ya mathata di kolota ba nna gone jana. Maybe there may be one thing, something, a word, a statement, an idea of what they can do, in terms of getting out of debt or managing something, whatever it is that they can be able to do. What would that be?
So what I can say ke gore ga ke nke rotloetsa batho gore ba ithaganelle go settle dikoloto tsa bona. The idea around debt is to manage it, right? And you can only manage that if you can, work more on the inflow. akere how ka bereka thata on the inflow, you can be able to manage that how to go away settle. And besides, it's an advantage should you die, the bank will settle it because go na le credit life insurance akere go mo ileng gore gantsi re go rotloetsa batho, we like to look at the earning part, right? Your potential to earn, right? If we can look at that, if we can explore that, because the only way batho ba simololang ya go tshela sente ba itumela is when they learn gore earning is not just a salary, right? There's so many ways of earning, and we try to explore that all the time. So gantsi yang motho a re letsa bua le rona ana le mathata a ntseng yalo, we focus more on the earning, but gone go na le ditsela tse dingwe tsa go bo debt restructuring tse leng gore di kgona di dirwe. But I always say those are temporary forms of getting people out of a hole. I get, because I also know restructure motho a teng because ntse ha wa moruta ka earning ka o ta ba ipusetsa gone ka kwa. I get so gantsi we tell those are the options that are available, but we like to stick more to the earning part.
100%.
Right, Mr. Ratshosa, before we let you go, I think you gave us a very interesting teaser. Maybe you could give us a little bit of your sample. When you're mentioning the principles of wealth creation, you said there's 6 and you just gave us like one being, making or earning, the principle of earning. Maybe touch very, like list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just so that we can get an idea. Ignytwealth. If it is what now we're going to get the in-depth of those principles.
Yes, no, absolutely. So these principles, we have earning been the first principle. Beautiful. And then the second one will be saving, right? You can't win until you learn to save.
Right.
And it's a principle. It's not about becoming rich or anything like that. You just need to learn to save. Even when you read,
paying yourself first.
Yes. When you save, you are actually putting God's money aside.
Wow.
Right? Because right? Yeah. So, and when you read the Bible, there are so many stories around saving. So you need to save as a principle, right? Because it teaches you discipline, right?
Yeah.
And then how soon now that discipline, you learn to invest because you can't work forever. You need to teach your money to work for you. That's investing. And then you need to learn to manage risk.
Right.
How do you manage risk? By getting certain insurance covers to make sure that high incident you protect your money. You insure because you want to protect your savings and your investments. How about to cancel your investments because 𝐘𝐨𝐿𝐼 𝐂𝐞𝐨𝐻𝐿 you have to go and fix it. I get. And then the fifth principle is learning to give. Giving is a very powerful thing. But we need to understand you don't just give. You give because and you give not because you are obligated to give. How spiritually you are good to be creative. But how say itumela because how productive and creative. And then the last principle is the principle of estate planning. Remember, as you accumulate wealth, as much as it's important, the allocation of that wealth is also equally important. So you can leave it to chance.
Yes.
And estate planning as it was trust right? Yeah. But trust me when I say, if you have that one car, there's someone within your family, the house now one, who's eyeing it.
True.
And how people are going to fight over that asset. And families, they break, families fight. People kill one another.
Yeah.
Because hawa bua hela gore nya koloi ya me ha ke tsamaya ke batla gore rekisiwe mme a ba nelwa bokana kgaitsedi a ke a ba nelwa bokana kgang a be hela akere o na le tshimonyana o na le 100 pula mo bankeng. All those things you need to make sure they are allocated properly. But when estate planning ka bo yone, it's a very sophisticated thing to do. It requires maybe a different conversation, right? Because ga motho go ka batho ba akanya gore o ka nela bana 20%, bana ba tshwana. O mongwe o responsible ka 20%, o mongwe a go mo hetsa tsatsi eno a ba simolatseng a ba bangwe dingalo akere. So the body trust yana, people need to understand how trusts are done le di will gore di will tsone di draftwa ka tseleng jang.
And I want to say this, I definitely concur with the 6 principles that you have highlighted. We learn a lot. every day. And I'm very excited that we have you guys here to help us broaden our minds, especially with one of the seemingly most uncomfortable topics in conversation. God, every time people discuss or talk about manusumelo, hey, or you know, but I think when we demystify the science of wealth creation, it helps us understand that it's not reserved for an elitist few, but all of us can, begin the path to creating a nice little nest egg for not only ourselves but the future. So I definitely do appreciate, and I think I'll get a copy soon enough.
Yes.
I agree, I concur.
You said this on air, and
Yeah.
no
worries, absolutely no worries.
But also, thank you very much for joining us here on RB2, your station of choice, and amazing work you're doing. The content, everything.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us and giving us a beautiful content this Wednesday morning. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.